So if you don't know what scene this is from, I'm going to give you a few seconds to let it digest. And even without knowing what scene this is from, what does it mean to you when you watch it? What's the first words that come to your mind? Is it suspense, horror, fear? How does the scene make you feel? And how is any scene meant to make you feel? Is it meant to make you feel horror, suspense? Are you meant to get the answers on the plate? Is it meant to sway you in a certain way of thinking? Is saying that this rebellion is a good thing? Are we saying Superman's a good guy? Are we saying that General Zod is a bad guy? Are we saying the police in France are corrupt? Are we saying that the police in France are good people? What about this character's revenge? Is his revenge worth it? Is it a worthy story? Or, indeed, as we see on screen, is it not? I think ultimately the question is film meant to make you feel a certain way? Or is it meant to present itself with questions and not give you the answers? Now, if you didn't know yet, that scene is from Schindler's List, what many would call Steven Spielberg's masterpiece film. But is it a film or is it a movie? Now, I know a lot of you are going to be rolling your eyes and thinking, oh my God, this whole thing about film or movie again. The two things are exactly the same. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. That's not what this video is about. What this video is about is how you're meant to present your art. Is art meant to leave you with questions? Is it meant to give you solutions? Is it meant to sway you into a way of thinking? I always personally think a great documentary presents you with queries and facts. It doesn't give you the specific answers, it doesn't tell you what the solution is, it just gives you the facts. And if you're a great proponent of film, and I am going to separate the two things just for this video, if you're a great proponent of film as an art form, then maybe you're on the side of Michael Haneke, the Austrian German filmmaker, who took it upon himself to criticize Schindler's List and saying the film should never have been made. And, in his opinion, for good reason.
Would you make a film about Hitler?
No.
Why?
Aus dem Grund, weil man bestimmte Dinge, ich finde ich finde auch, setze ich mich vielleicht hier in die Nesseln, ich finde einen Film wie ein Spielberg-Film über das Konzentrationslager auch falsch. Ich kann nicht einen Spannungsmoment daraus machen, ob aus der Dusche Gas oder Wasser kommt. Ja. Das ist meiner Meinung nach, sobald ein solches Thema zur Unterhaltung wird, ist es von vornherein meiner Meinung nach schon undiskutabel.
I love seeing how John Krasinski really squirms his way out of answering that question.
Are there some subjects that you should not touch in film? John?
Wow.
Yeah, John.
Perfect.
Now, there's two schools of thought. If you're going to make a movie, a Armageddon, a Transformers, a Bad Boys, yes, I am just mentioning Michael Bay films there, then maybe you just want to give the audience a good time. Maybe you want to give the audience what they paid for. They paid to have a good time, so you give them a good time. If you want to make something more artistic, something that wins Oscars, say, for example, you wanted to make The Brutalist, would you then present the audience with the answers, or would you just leave them with questions? And one of the flaws of a film like The Brutalist is the fact that it does try to give you the answers, whilst also trying to present itself as a piece of art that is just giving you questions. And ultimately, it was the downfall. It couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to do. It was chastising characters and criticizing characters instead of putting the spotlight on characters. Now, you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, I do prefer the style of filmmaking where the spotlight is put on your characters or on your story and you are allowed to make decisions yourself. If you feel like the actions of Darth Vader are actually actions that are actually validated, then sure, why not? That is your thought process. And there's nothing wrong with having those thoughts. Well, we're living in an age of freedom of speech, apparently. So apparently there's nothing wrong with having those kind of thoughts. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm actually on the side of Michael Haneke here. Now, that's not to say I don't enjoy a good movie that gives me the answers or blows things up or has incredible set pieces or has sci-fi that's gonna never ever happen in the history of humans, believe me. But I do prefer to have information laid out for me so I can make my own mind up about the story or about the characters. Because if you are trying to inflict some sort of way of thinking upon your audience, are you any better than a propaganda filmmaker? Who's to say that your opinion is correct? Now, of course, there's the counter argument, which I'm going to make right now, which is art is ultimately very subjective. And ultimately, if you're looking at things that way, as an artist, you should be allowed to put your thoughts into your work. In fact, some of the greatest works of all time have left us with thoughts of the artist themselves. But have you noticed some of the most incredible and the most revered art is often art that poses loads of questions but doesn't give you the answers? Mona Lisa, for example. Everyone still to this day is trying to work out whether she's smiling or not. Banksy, the messages of his political art are actually kind of forbearing. But who was Banksy? Wasn't that the real thing behind Banksy? Who is he? There was no answers. If you watch any of Michael Haneke's films, he won't give you any answers. And I can name a myriad of some of the greatest filmmakers who do the same thing. Now, Christopher Nolan is notorious for having endings that leave you with a kind of a sense of what the hell was that? Now, I would definitely say that he does put moral objectives into his characters, so he's not completely doing as said by Michel Haneke. But at the end of this whole story, there's always that question. And the question often is, what the hell was that? Did that thing happen? Or did that thing not happen? When you're watching a Neil Breen film, the question is, who financed this? Did he finance this? How did he get the money to finance this? What is this film about? Is he a genius?
Hacked into the most secret government and corporate secrets. The most secret.
So let's go back to this scene. This scene is notorious for many reasons. Now, I asked the question at the beginning of the video, is it a horror? Is it suspense? Is it drama? What is it? It's very reminiscent actually of the scene from Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. The black and white, the light, the shower, like it's very similar in many sort of ways. But I feel like the two scenes are also very similar because they're doing the same thing. I'm going to go and say, yes, while Spielberg was totally trying to put you in the shoes of these characters, which would be a good thing, he also ruins it. And this moment here ruins it. He is playing into the suspense, into the horror. He's making you feel a certain way instead of laying out the information and allowing you to make your mind up about what's happening. And he's doing it with technical tricks. So, is the criticism of Schindler's List and of Spielberg's work in general valid? Because this is not the first time he's been criticized for being such a direct filmmaker.
Great difference between a Kubrick and a Spielberg is Spielberg is more successful. His films make much more money, but they're comforting. They give you answers, always. The films are answers. And I don't think they're very clever answers. And 2001 had an ending, I don't know what it means. I don't know, but I have to think about it. I have to work. And it opens up all sorts of possibilities, and probably the next person I speak to has a different idea of what that ending means.
So we do come back to this separation, film or movie. For me, this is a film and this is a movie. But I'm going to break my own rule here because I think Schindler's List is actually a film. And this is why art is so wonderful. This is why films or movies, if you want to call them, are so incredibly beautiful. And this is why I call my channel Cinema is Dying, because we don't have enough of these conversations or these type of films anymore. And I would like to get back to those days. Now, we had a film recently called Sinners, which I do feel plays into the trope of the Spielbergian way of shooting a movie. It really has its own agenda, it really has its own thought processes, and it really does push those upon you. But it is a magnificent piece of filmmaking. I actually think a couple of films over the recent years have left me really querying what these films are all about. But additionally, been intrigued to see what the filmmaker does next. One of those films is by Julia Ducournau, and it's called Titan, a film that is batshit crazy, but leaves you with questions and never gives you the answers. Another great film is by another female filmmaker, and it's called The Substance. Another batshit crazy film, but again, doesn't give you the answers and leaves you with so many amazing questions. I wasn't a huge fan of the last 30 minutes, but I can appreciate the art. And it does leave you thinking and talking. Listen, I can sit here and ramble about this forever, but I think ultimately it comes down to something that I saw attributed to Stanley Kubrick. Now, I don't know if he actually said this, but it was about Schindler's List. And I think if you were to create a separation between the idea of film being different to movies, this would sum it up perfectly. So, what's your thoughts? What do you think of the scene from Schindler's List? Do you think it is too far? Do you think it's kind of distasteful, considering the subject matter of Schindler's List? And what do you think about film or movie? And also, ultimately, who are the great, interesting filmmakers of this age, or indeed of all time? Let me know in the comments. That's going to be it from me. Another impromptu video that I've just made on the fly. And I'm hoping you guys are enjoying these. They seem to be every Saturday, so stick around for the next one. I will speak to you soon. You can hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. Big love, and I'll speak to you soon.